Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And God, Goddess, Spirit, Universe, all that is, bless you right where you are. Welcome to Your Spirit, Your Business, a podcast created off of a spiritual, business-based group used to enhance, elevate, and enable individuals to succeed in business, in life, in relationships through spiritual principles. So, I actually want to start with that right now. If you are in the Fort Lauderdale area and you are around March 4th, 2020, just so we're not in 2025, you're listening to this podcast and you show up and I'm not there. But March 4th, 2020 at 12 p.m., calling all entrepreneurs, people who want to be entrepreneurs, people who are thinking about being entrepreneurs, independent contractors, people who really just want to implement spirituality into their business and way of life. Come to CSL Fort Lauderdale for a special presentation of these principles up close and personal. I promise you it will definitely be worth your time. My lovely wife and I will be conducting this seminar, so to speak, and we definitely look forward to seeing you there. CSL Fort Lauderdale, the address is 4849 North Dixie Highway, Fort Lauderdale. Don't know the address, but it's 3330 something likely. So I'll leave it up to you to figure that out. If you can come, that'd be great. If not, I'm sure we'll see you in the future because this is the first of many of these things that will unfold. So, your spirit, your business, spiritual marketing is the topic of today. Spiritual marketing, spiritual marketing, creating divine reach. Oh, I love that. That's like my favorite title ever. Creating divine reach. It's so powerful. You know, when you think about creating divine reach. And what is that exactly? Well, let's go through what traditional marketing is. And I'm just going to be honest with you. I've never really had much success with traditional marketing, but when it comes to spiritual marketing, I'm a flat out genius. And the only thing I can say is the difference is because when I do regular marketing, I'm leaving it to myself to try to figure out what works, what doesn't work, who to trust, who not to trust, who to work with, who not to work with. And then when I tap into spiritual marketing, I basically just tap into spirit, surrender, and just allow spirit to lead me to the right place at the right time. I got a great story from a lady who I really admire. We became connections on LinkedIn, and I still get her emails, and I just love her book. Her name is Marilyn Jeanette. And her book is called Feel Free to Prosper, and she's got such a terrific story in there. But we'll talk about that later. But so you can kind of see the difference as to when it comes to quote unquote traditional marketing and then spiritual marketing, right? And so here's the point I always desire to be able to put across to you, okay? And that point is that business, life, relationships, money, career, social situations, it's all spirit. It's all the same, right? You know, the truth of the matter is that the only time we ever struggle in any area of our lives is when we're putting ourselves first, we're cutting ourselves off from the flow of spirit into that area, right? So I can tell you right now, if you're struggling with something, it's because you cut the flow of spirit off in that area. You've cut the flow of the divine off. You reconnect in that area, and I promise you this, it will blow your mind the way things begin to start moving in your favor. And I promise you, the biggest thing you have to remember is just to be patient and allow it to take its course. You know, a lot of times, I can remember like talking about this whole spiritual marketing concept to a lot of different people who aren't really spiritual but are curious about certain things. And the biggest problem they have with it is sometimes patience, right? Because here's the thing. The magnificent, fantastically wonderful thing about spirit is spirit will wait to see if this is something you truly desire. It'll tap into, go straight to your heart, right? And see if this is something that is heart-centered and driven by the heart, or if it's something that you are getting because of something else, right? And we talked a little bit about that last episode, about, or maybe it was on another podcast, but basically, a perfect example for me is when I started acting. I started acting because I wanted to get approval from all the people around me and everywhere. It had a lot to do with love, but a lot of me being successful was driven by approval. And it lasted for how long? I think like maybe a few weeks after the initial goal that I set for myself, I accomplished. And it's crazy because you think that that's something that you want, and it really isn't. And I can remember having this film come out, and it was absolutely everywhere. It was Amazon, it was Netflix, it was on all these different streaming services and whatnot. And so many people were seeing it. People were taking snapshots and posting it to my Facebook, sending me, DMs about how this was their favorite part in the movie. They were taking pictures in Walmart because they bought the DVDs and the Blu-rays and saying like, you're my favorite actor and all this stuff. And you know what? All that hoopla, all that stuff that I wanted, that approval, lasted for like 2 minutes, and more like 2 weeks or so, or 2 or 3 weeks, in all honesty. And then that was it. That was completely it, right? And I just sat there and I thought to myself, damn, is this all there is? And that's when Spirit said, no, this is not all there is. This is only a byproduct of, what truly matters. It's just an aspect. Now let me come in, right? Let me come in and start to make sure that you're not only succeeding, but you're also fulfilled. And that's when my life changed, because that's when I knew that I just don't want you to succeed in your business and in life and everywhere. I want you to be fulfilled, because those are two different things. Like, I've been a success my entire life doing multiple things, right? But I only learned how to be fulfilled like a few years ago. And that's the honest truth to you. And probably a little bit more than a few years ago. I'd say about 5, 6, 7 years ago, I only learned how to be fulfilled, because now, when you learn how to be fulfilled doing something, success is not all that important. The practical success of that thing is, but not in the sense of you need this person, that person, and 500 other thousand people saying that you are a success. Because here's the thing. They're going to say it anyway if you believe it in yourself, knowing that you are a spiritual being having a human experience. Okay? So before I go off too far on a tangent, getting back to the spiritual marketing aspect of everything. So when you think of spiritual marketing, you really have to know your product. You really have to be aware of what your product is offering, what your business is offering to your audience, right? And so if we don't know that, if we're unaware of that, two things are going to happen. One, you're going to attract nobody, right? You're just not going to get it out. It can't move, because the purpose, the reason behind it is not a divine reason. This is why before you do anything business, you really got to connect to spirit before you do anything, because it will save you so much time, sometimes even years, sometimes even months, right? Months. Sometimes it will save you months, and then ultimately it will save you years. And here's why. Because you have to make introspection a habit. You have to know yourself. Know thyself, and to thy own self be true, and understand, what is my motivation? What is my divine why for doing this? What is my divine reason? Right? And what's great is when you dive into that, it moves out all the bullshit, right? All the stuff that is only done as a reaction as opposed to a creation, right? That's where we want to move from, and sure, certain things stir us up. Like me, when it comes to poverty, it stirs me up. I hate seeing people struggle financially. When it comes to people having a lack of direction, a lack of love in their lives, that stirs me up as well. Actors, I hate to see struggling actors. So that stirs me up also. So these are all divine reasons that come from a heart-centered place. And this is where the magic happens. See, most people think the marketing is tough. No. The main thing you have to focus on before you do any type of marketing, and this is the very best concept about spiritual marketing, is that you have to ensure that your reason for doing it is in complete alignment with yourself and with your source. Right? You have to. Because look, I'm not here to waste your time. If it's not in alignment, it's not going to work. I've seen stuff in my life countless times not work because I was not in alignment, right? I was not in alignment. I talked about on my Love Your Vibe podcast how there was a time where I was moving towards everything that lacked divine love. I was moving towards everything that lacked divine love. And in doing that, I always set myself up to fail. Even if I started to succeed, the bottom would fall out because the reason for doing that was not an authentic reason. The universe has you here, the divine has you here for one reason alone, for you to actualize your true self. And whatever it takes to do that, whether it's a business, a relationship, a move, a certain entity, whatever it is, it's going to do that. That's the highest purpose of the universe, is for you to actualize your true self. And look, it's going to find any way possible to do that for you. Not holding back anything. And it's scary when you first think about that, but then you start to realize, okay, this is only benefiting me. So what does it do? It starts to dig out the junk. It starts to bring up all the emotional turmoil, right? Because if we're not clearing all that stuff out, all we create is volatility in our business. And then all of a sudden volatility leads to hiring people that carry that same type of energy. And all of a sudden you've blown your own entire life up because you never took the time to really get down deep and discover who you are by discovering your divine why, your divine reason, and making sure that it's in complete alignment with your source and, like we just said, your true self. Because this has to be done. It has to be done if your business is going to succeed through spiritual marketing, right? So by doing that, right off the bat, you clear the path for divine creativity to filter in to your consciousness. And I'm telling you, this is a beautiful thing because it will have you moving just like a genius. Remember how I said I'm an absolute genius? Because I just allow the divine to filter through. I don't press things. I don't force people to buy what I have, right? I can't do that because it doesn't feel right. And you'll know what's right by how it feels. You'll know exactly if it's right for you or not by how it feels. If it feels good, it's probably the right move. If it feels like off, then it's not, right? So once you've cleared that pathway of divine creativity, and Spirit starts to filter things, here's another important step to remember. See, successful spiritual marketing isn't about you knowing the entire book right away. It's you being open to the moment and open to the wisdom that will come through, and realizing that Spirit moves line upon line, precept upon precept, one step at a time. And that is how genius is born. You're just taking one step. You don't get ahead of yourself. You don't start thinking about stuff that happened in the past. All of a sudden, you just say, I'm focused, I'm open, and I'm ready to receive what Spirit has for me right now. The next step. And then once I get the next step done, I go to the next step. And then I get the next step, right? The biggest issue, people want 5 steps at a time and they want to know the end result. And it just doesn't work that way, because guess what? If you know the nature of Spirit, you know the nature of divine. It only exists now and now and now and now. It only exists now. So it's going to go moment to moment. And I promise you, you follow this, you will look like a genius. Intuition is key to business, especially business success. Because if you're not, you're just basically shooting darts with a blindfold, right? With all these people in the room, and they've got to trust you to be able to throw it in the right direction, and you're blindfolded, right? Now, unless you're like clairvoyant or something, you can see the board, it's going to be pretty hard. So I spoke with Marilyn Jeanette, and she has this book. It's called Feel Free to Prosper. And I talked to this lady. She's a really sweet lady, really well-versed on the concept of prosperity and spirit in the universe and stuff. And I've talked to her a couple times on LinkedIn, and she's really, really, really great individual. And I just remember from her book, and she's saying how she has a chapter in her book that is absolutely amazing. And I think it's called, I hadn't read this book in so long, but it's called like The Universe as Your Marketing Guru, or the universe as your personal marketer. And it's so fantastic the way that it's laid out that I want you, if possible, to go get this book on Amazon or in Barnes & Noble. It's called Feel Free to Prosper. It's by Marilyn Jeanette. But in this book, she talks about how she didn't have money for marketing. She didn't have like the understanding or how to go about doing something. And in a nutshell, just to not be so long, and she tells it way better than I did. In a nutshell, somehow or another, because she was in public relations at the time, she winds up on the front page of the LA Times, basically a spot that would take a lot of time, a lot of effort, maybe even sometimes cash, to try to get published. And she's there on the very front page of the LA Times talking about the very thing that she was doing. And it basically transformed her entire life. And it was all because in a step-by-step manner, she followed the guidance of Spirit. And I'm telling you, when it comes to your marketing, when it comes to your business, when it comes to your life, when it comes to your relationships, follow Spirit's lead, right? Every day, just ask, and if you don't have the clair, what is it called? Not clairvoyance, it's clairvoyance, claircognizance maybe. So yeah, let's call it clairaudience. There you go, where you have clear hearing. If you don't have that developed within yourself as of yet, ask to be shown in a way that you'll know what the next step is. Spirit is a 24-hour, 7-day week, 365 days a year radio station signaling across the multiverse ready to offer you any type of divine wisdom you need that's going to help you to actualize more of yourself. And you just have to ask. You just have to be patient. You just have to be open and receptive as to how it will come through for you. And I promise it will always come through for you. It will always come through for you. And that, my dears, is spiritual marketing. It's just that simple, right? It's just that simple. Guys, thank you so much for joining me today. It is a pleasure. As always, we will talk soon. Take care.